they're probably sick of sitting in doctors' clinics getting no answers. You know what I mean? Like getting blood tests, getting told by high up professionals that maybe try this, this medication, or maybe you just need an antidepressant, or there's nothing I can do for you is a real common one. And so I think we just need to acknowledge that first. And there's a common theme with a lot of these people who they're still kind of searching for that answer, that one thing that's going to change their life overnight, and hoping for that. And to be honest, like there's a juncture point, and you have to hit that juncture point for change and recovery to occur. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode at the CFS Recovery podcast. We've got a special guest today. We've got General Manager here of CFS Health, Ash Ward. Hey, Ash.
Hello.
We're going to do something a little bit different today, and we're going to be answering a specific question from one of the people in the public. And so, Ash, I'm going to throw it to you. What's the question for this week?
The question we've received this week is, and it's a very common question, so I think it's going to be a popular episode. What is the very first step for recovery? If someone's struggling, they're not quite sure what to do, where to start, knowing that there's lots of pieces to the puzzle, what is the first step?
I think one of the things that I'm seeing right now with this question is the person who's asking this question is the person who's probably feeling really desperate, So there's a lot of desperation. There's like a lot of angst. The person who's wanting to know that first answer, and I will give it, but we need some context first, is like there's angst, there's desperation, there's fear, but there's also this underlying frustration, like for instance, the person who's at the point where they haven't really started recovery because they're still trying to find the answers. They're probably sick of sitting in doctors' clinics getting no answers. You know what I mean? Like getting blood tests, getting told by high up professionals that, maybe try this, this medication, or maybe you just need an antidepressant, or there's nothing I can do for you is a real common one. And so I think we just need to acknowledge that first. The reason why I'm bringing this up first is because, one, we see it every single day. People come, hundreds and hundreds of people apply for our program every single month. And there's a common theme with a lot of these people who they're still kind of searching for that answer, that one thing that's going to change their life overnight, and hoping for that. And to be honest, like there's a juncture point. And you have to hit that juncture point for change and recovery to occur. And the juncture point is like 50% frustration, anger, trying too hard, trying a million different things. You've probably got 100 supplements in your house stocked up that you haven't fully taken, or you've taken and nothing's changed. We hear that a lot. You've tried the Chinese acupuncture, you've tried all these different modalities, and they can all be useful. I'm not knocking any of that. Some of it can be really useful, but it's not really changing anything for you. And then the other 50% from the other angle, it's like these two need to collide, and that is self-responsibility and acceptance. The desperation and the frustration and the anger, you have to get to the point of no return, of like, F this, screw this. I cannot, this is not working and I cannot do anymore. And then on the other hand, there has to be this self-compassion and this realization that if it's to be, it's up to me. Because I've tried all the doctors, I've tried all the gurus, I've tried all these people that said they can save me and they didn't. And, you need those two to collide in order to have that self-compassion and acceptance of self-responsibility. If it's to be, it's up to me. Now, that doesn't mean you just will yourself through it and you positively think your way out of this problem, because we know that's not going to be the answer too. But you basically come to this juncture of like, okay, on one hand, this sucks. I don't love it. It's not what I wanted. It's not what I asked for. And on the other hand, you go, this sucks, and I'm going to do whatever I can in my power to change this. And I think that is where the first step actually happens. And we see this inside our program all the time. Like, even people, it's really interesting. There's two types of ways we help people with this. One, people get to that juncture before they enroll in our program. So they're already at the point of like, Toby makes total sense. The models that he teach makes total sense. Baseline makes total sense. Not trying to progress overnight makes total sense. Not looking for overnight quick fixes makes total sense. Not searching down rabbit holes anymore makes total sense. Like, that really stressed me out. So they all tick those boxes because they've done that and they got to the juncture at the starting point of joining the program. So when they're in the program, they're just ready. Like, they take on what they need. We just did a success story with Andrew Alsop recently. I think it's coming out. It's actually out at the moment. When you listen to this, just find Andrew chronic fatigue recovery story on YouTube. And he did so well in the program. He was in the program for about 13 months. And this guy went from like being in bed for 24 months to basically being the healthiest he's ever been. He's in his 50s, by the way, within 13, 14 months. It took him 2 years to get to that point of like acceptance though, before he joined. So there was almost like a backlog of all this trial and error and turmoil to get to the juncture. So that's one way to do it, which is obviously really great. Feels much better. The other way to do it is you haven't accepted yet. You're still pretty pissed off. And this is a common experience that a lot of our members go through, and you have to go through it. There's only one way through this, and it's through it. You can't dance around this particular subject because ultimately acceptance isn't resignation. It's the start of your recovery. Right? Because when you accept where you're at, you can start with where you're at. But if you don't accept current reality, you're not even aware, you're not even living in your current reality, which means that you can't change anything about it. Now, but the second option is usually like this. You enroll in the program, you really want to get better. It makes a lot of sense. All the things that we've been teaching, lifestyle changes, quality sleep, nutrition, restorative movement, mindset, progressing, integrating back into life, all this stuff is like, yeah, that sounds good. But you still just don't accept where you're at. It's just like, I can't. It feels like you're failing, or it's like you're losing. There's this piece, and you probably see it, Ash, because you're always talking to the members, but, it's almost like if I accept where I'm at, I'm giving up. Like, that's the story that people are believing in their minds. Right. And it's like the opposite couldn't be further from that couldn't be further from the truth. The opposite is true of like, if you accept where you're at, you're actually gaining momentum and you're starting your journey. But pretending that you're accepting it, but you're not, you're just going around in circles, And so what we see is it's usually around that 2 to 3 month mark in the program. For some, it's longer. Rania, another success story, it took her 9 months. Thank God she didn't quit. She's got her life back now. She's traveling the world doing really great things with her art. Shout out to Rania. Again, there's on YouTube, search Rania, chronic fatigue recovery story. But whether it's 2 months, 3 months, 9 months, it's a personal journey. But they'll get a point where it's like you've willed your way against this thing called acceptance for so long. It's exhausted you. And you're like, I can't do another day like this. And basically pain forces you to accept your current situation and circumstances, not to resign to it, not to quit to it, but to accept it. And with acceptance becomes awareness, and with awareness becomes change. And it's kind of like, beating yourself up again, banging your head against a door, hoping it'll actually open. But all you need to do is put your hand out onto the door and open the door. That's the difference between accepting and not accepting. And not accepting is just that constant beating your head against a door and not opening the door, not moving forwards at all. And so it can feel really scary. So I would love you to reframe just checking time here. Oh, we're doing great. We've got 6 minutes to go. My biggest suggestion to you, if you the first step to your recovery is acceptance. But one of the fastest ways to get there is by simply reframing what acceptance means to you. Like if you think acceptance is failure, well, a simple reframe would be acceptance is the first point of change for me. If I just allow myself the grace to be where I'm at, which is just the truth, I can then change it. Now, for someone who's listening right now who's not accepting where they're at, this isn't probably going to make much sense. You're going to go, what the hell is Toby talking about? He's just talking garbage, basically. And I understand that. I was in that place too, where I was just like, I didn't want to accept it because it was not good. Why would you accept something that's not good? But again, you'll get to the point of pain and you'll know what I'm talking about when it happens for you. And hear that word, for you. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm saying it's a good thing. It's helping you move through this so you can get out the other end faster. Perfect example is that one of my first ever chronic fatigue syndrome clients, almost, 2 decades ago, Ash, his name was. And he was an elite runner. And so I took him on as a client. I was so young. I was like 24 at the time. I'd been working with Dr. Lionel Lubitz, who helped me with my stuff. And so we created this program and I shared it with him and he loved it. And he said, yeah, this is good. You can start using this and helping people. So Ash came to see me and I had this set program and it was perfect. And I was like, this is where we're going to start. This is where we're going to build you up. And he went from being an elite runner to not being able to run at all. In fact, like the 2-minute walk was like it would exhaust him. He had glandular fever. He was just in the acute stage of suffering. And I remember Ash coming to my clinic back in Melbourne, and he was so sorry for himself. Like the head was down, the hoodie was on. He'd walk into the office just like barely being able to look up. He was so upset of his current situation that he wasn't allowing himself to be present with where he was at. And I knew on our first session, nothing that I would say to him or give him in terms of a nutrition plan, a movement plan, a restorative movement plan, none of that shit would do anything for him until we fixed his current problem, which was acceptance. And what was crazy, Ash, so it was back then it was a minimum 12-week program, one-on-one, and then we would go ongoing after that. The craziest thing was we spent 7 sessions in my office and we did not leave my office once, which is really rare because we'd always be doing restorative movement stuff, because I had to get him to break through and allow himself to be here now. And on the 7th session, 7 weeks into the program, everything changed. It was almost like a switch had clicked. And it was like, okay, this is my reality. I don't love it, but I'm going to change it. And from that day on, we worked on his recovery. And within 12 weeks from that day, he was jogging. He was able to start jogging again on a restricted program. Obviously, he was a runner, so he wanted to get back into running. So that was something that we worked on together. But what's amazing is like, it wouldn't have mattered what I gave him, even if there was like a magic pill, right? It wouldn't have worked because he was so buried in his thoughts and emotions about his reality. And everything changed for Ash when he literally shifted his mindset from acceptance is horrible to acceptance isn't resignation. I'm not quitting if I accept. I'm just accepting my current reality so I can change it. The game changed for him. And now the great story is within 12 months, he went back into competing for running. He flew over to Europe and he came third actually around the world in his event, which was a huge milestone. But it was such an amazing shift because the first 7 weeks were so hard for him. Like he just didn't want to come in. He didn't want to do the work. He was beating himself up. He was hitting his head against a brick wall, metaphorically. And he was able to change that. And so, it's a process, working on acceptance and reframing that. And that's what him and I did for 7 weeks straight, was just reframing acceptance and what that meant to him. And luckily, he was willing to have a curious mindset. And from there, once he accepted where he's at, he was able to change his behaviors, which then affected how he felt. And so mindset is crucially important, not because it's a mindset problem, but because changing your mindset then changes your behaviors, which then changes the result of how you feel. And so it has this trickle effect down the line. And so if you're at home listening right now, I feel for you. It's really hard. It can be such an internal battle, but it can be so freeing. And we see this all the time. And it's usually around that 3-month mark when our members, that switch clicks for them, just like it did for Ash. And it's like they're a different person. Like they're just operating differently. They're approaching their recovery differently. They're not beating themselves up. They're not getting in the way of their own recovery. They're doing the right things at the right time, and they're feeling good about it versus trying to do all the same things but not feeling good about it, being resentful. And if you think about it, like being resentful, you far out, that's a lot of energy wasted. And there's the timer. Being of non-acceptance is a lot of energy wasted. So if you're at home right now and you're feeling that way, like you're probably aware of how exhausting it is to be doing what you're currently doing. And it's not your fault. Like, no one's taught you this. Like, no one's told you. No doctor has said, oh, by the way, like, the way that you're approaching this isn't working. Like, they're kind of adding to the stress most of the time, apart from the great doctors that are out there in the world trying to do their part. But for the most part, it's been a pretty negative experience for them, for people. So, my advice is to reframe acceptance, to know that it's actually, it's on the way, it's not in the way. And it's actually the fastest way to start recovering, because as soon as you can start with where you're at, well, then you're on the path to recovery. And yeah, we just see this time and time again. Like, it's just, like I said, with Ash, he went from, like I said, not being able to really walk for more than 2 minutes with complete exhaustion, to then having 7 weeks of just like working on his mindset to allow him to acknowledge where he's at so he can move forwards. And then fast forward another 12 weeks from there, he was back on a restricted jogging program, which to me was just so great to see, because, to see this guy could barely walk for 2 minutes and then jogging up and down in the gym on the running track was pretty special to witness. And then for him to fly overseas and compete, and he looked great. Like, he went from like being so deconditioned to like just so fit and strong and like a true sprinter, athletic performer. Was pretty powerful. So that's my tips. I hope that was helpful. Ash, you got any last words? You're smiling.
I'm smiling because I think it's going to talk to so many people. I think it's, to wrap it up, it's an acceptance of what currently is, but it's also an acceptance of what people are feeling like isn't as well, like the life that they have lived up until this point, and some acceptance around what might not be able to be happening at the moment. But once you reach that point of acceptance, it's really a door that opens. It's not a door that closes.
Yeah, exactly.
It's one that opens to opportunities, that opens to the recovery, rather than it's not a closing, it's an opening.
It's an opening, and it's a good point, Ash, because it's what it is. And I want to actually say this, because that's just the starting point. Like, we might be oversimplifying it here, and you might be going, yeah, but is that all there is, Toby? It's like, no, that's the first door you open that then opens the other 10 doors of what you need to do to start recovery, right?
Yeah, exactly.
You have to have a holistic approach. What we did with Ash was so multifaceted, and that's exactly what we do with people in 60 countries now. And I want to say this lastly as we leave: whether you're in our program and you're 9 months in and that switch has just changed for you, there can be a little sense of grief of like, far out, I've just lost 9 months of like not accepting myself or the situation. And then you start to beat yourself up over that too. Or you might be listening and you didn't even know there was a program that existed, but you might be in the same situation where you're like, oh my God, I spent the last 5 years of my life just like beating my head against a wall. Please, now that you're aware of it, don't beat yourself up for the last 5 years. You needed to go through that to be here today. This is meant to be. It's not like, you have to go through that. You have to know what clear water and clear air looks like, but you only know what that looks like if you go through muddy water first. You have to go through that first. So don't beat yourself up, because I know that's a common thing that will happen. You'll be like, oh, I'm fine. All right, I'm going to say, oh, but now I've lost it. No, don't think like that. It's helped you get to where you're at today. So remember, one of my favorite sayings is, you can't drive forwards if you're always looking in the rear view mirror. It's extremely hard to drive forwards if you're looking in the past all the time. So let go of that, move forwards. And this is the first very foundation change that you need to make in order to open the doors for recovery. Hope this was helpful, and we'll speak to you very, very soon. Bye for now. Hey, I hope this video was really helpful for you. If you haven't already, please hit the like button and feel free to leave a comment. What was your takeaway, your insight from today's video? It's really helpful to actually write your learnings down. We seem to embed it better, and it seems to help us move forwards with life. Here are 3 ways we can help you right now whenever you're ready. The first way is, make sure you add yourself into our free information recovery group on Facebook. We'll leave a link in the description below. It's a really supportive, encouraging place. There's no negative venting. You can ask questions to other people. There's something like 8,000 people in there right now, and I'm sure by the time you're watching this video, there's even more. So go over there right now. We share success stories. We share our latest free trainings that come to the public, and we always share upcoming information about upgrades inside our program, and also when we offer free webinars or free information nights that can further help you with your own recovery. The second way we can help you, which is one of my favorite, is through all our free trainings. We're going to leave a link in the description with our favorite free trainings that we know can help you start your recovery, whether that's through our baseline training, which will help you stop pushing and crashing, our 3 stages of recovery to figure out exactly where you're at and know what to do next, or my favorite, which is our guest panel workshop, which was actually exclusive for our members. It was so damn good that I actually asked them, can we share this to the public? They all said yes, all 5 of them. So thank you, past members. They share their 5 recovery secrets, and it's really powerful. There's tears, there's aha moments, there's real key insight and inspiration. And so whether you're a 1 out of 10 and you're really struggling right now, or whether you're further along in your recovery journey and you're integrating back into life, we have you covered. The third way we can help you is through our actual paid online recovery program, the Mentorship Recovery Program. And if you are interested in getting proper help, a holistic comprehensive plan, professional coaching from the best coaches in the world, whether that's with mindset, movement, nutrition, restorative movement, reconditioning, integrating back into life, integrative medicine, baseline, structure, routine, accountability, all things health and life, feel free to apply for the program today. All you need to do is click on the form, cfshealth.com/form, fill out the short 2 to 3 minute form application, and the team will be in touch with all the details that you need to know about the program via email. So make sure you check your spam folder for all the free trainings. If you've sent through an application, please be patient. My team are real people, okay? They're not robots. So if we don't get back to you within seconds or hours, it's okay. We will get back to you. If you don't hear from the team within 2 to 3 days, that means that it's basically gone to spam or junk and it's gone missing. So please send a follow-up email to the team at info@cfshealth.com. If you have any questions, go check it out. But I would highly recommend adding yourself into the free group right now. Go click on that link in the description. Go download all the free trainings. Honestly, the whole reason why this whole thing started is because when I went through this myself, it was so painful and so excruciating that I didn't want anyone else to have to go through it. And some of these free trainings are so damn valuable. Back then, I would have paid thousands of dollars for. We've had so many comments and emails and posts saying, oh my God, the baseline training was a game changer for me. Toby, I've been doing this now for 3 months and I'm feeling so much better. My symptoms are decreasing. I've got more stamina. I've got more energy. I'm able to do more things. So, you know, whether you're learning from us and consuming our content through our free format, I'm so stoked. Whether that's in our paid program, I don't really care. Either way, all I want to make sure is that you are moving forwards. You are starting to really implement this work. And that's really what it's all about. Once we implement, we make change and we start to move forwards. Sending you a ton of love. Of course, feel free to consume as much of the YouTube videos as you like. There's so many really, really great ones, new and old. Sending you a ton of love and speak to you very, very soon. All the best for now.